Amos 3:3 said, "Can two work together unless they are agreed?" You know what? Because agreement is built through communication. And when communication stops, unity weakens. God designed marriage to function through open, honest, and safe communication. Our major theme still remains signs a marriage is drifting away from covenant. And this episode is the sixth episode, which is going to address the breakdown of communication in marriage. One of the first things that dies in a drifting marriage is not love. It is communication. When two people can live in the same house, sleep on the same bed, but their conversation is no longer there. But the only conversation that is left is about, have you paid the NEPA bill? Where is the remote control? Do you lock the door? All those necessary functional conversations. When there is no communication, romance has left the marriage. You are lying beside your spouse, but if you want to tell him or if you want to tell her something, you will have to process which of the languages can I use. You will first clear your throat like you are calling customer care. You will have to think and then think again, how would they react and all of that. Sometimes you even type a message you really wanted to message him, and then you delete it again. You say, forget it. There is a strain in communication. That marriage is definitely drifting out of covenant. When you wish to communicate your fears, your ideas, your dreams, then you think about it twice. Some people, you think about it 5 good times, and yet you cannot conclude. You are not sure because you don't feel safe. How would he react? How would she react? Is he or she going to complicate the issue? Can I really find solution by speaking to my significant other? Something important has already left that marriage. That means that communication has already broken down. Marriage becomes a silent movie where nobody is talking, and covenant begin to suffocate quietly. Love might still be there sometimes, but slowly nobody is talking enough to keep it alive. Let me go further. What exactly do I mean by communication breakdown? Communication breakdown is not just the absence of talking, it is the absence of meaningful connection. Yes. It is when a spouse stops sharing their heart, their thoughts, and then their struggles. How can a wife be suffocating in silence when you have your husband next to you who should be your burden bearer? It is when the heart is no longer connecting. Your thoughts are far away. They are no longer connecting. You cannot share your struggles. You cannot share your burden. That is when communication has broken down. Communication is the lifeline of intimacy. Without it, distance will just grow silently. I want to ask some questions from you. They are practical questions and signs that we should look out for in our marriages. They are searching, reflective questions, and the answers will determine if communication has broken down in your marriage or not. Have your conversations become limited to bills, children, and responsibilities? Do you and your spouse rarely talk about your feelings, your fears, your personal experiences anymore? When was the last time that you have heartfelt, emotional conversations with your spouse? I'd ask again, do you find yourselves postponing necessary conversations indefinitely? You'll be thinking about it. Should I bring it forward today? No, I'll wait till later in the evening. I'll wait until he is in a better mood, or when I notice she is in a better mood. Then you keep on postponing. You won't be able to bring it forward. You shift it to tonight, then you shift it to tomorrow, then from tomorrow to next week. Then it becomes indefinite. Problems being ignored instead of being lovingly addressed? That's another question. Do you or your spouse use silence to express anger or frustration? Has silence become a weapon instead of a space for healing? Let me ask, does your spouse listen to respond, or they listen to truly understand you? Have you stopped sharing certain things because you feel they won't understand, or maybe you feel you won't be valued? Has it gotten to that extent when you begin to think, okay, maybe if I tell him about this, she would less me, or if I tell her about this, she would make me feel insignificant? Has it gotten to that level yet? Do other people know more about your emotional struggles than your spouse does? That's a red flag. Do you find it easier to open up to friends outsiders than your partner, that's a red flag. And has communication in your marriage become a bridge or a barrier? Let's check God's design for communication according to the book. Ephesians 4:29 says, "Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but what is good for edification." See, God designed your words to build your spouse, not to shut them down, not to shut them out. Communication is not just about talking, it is creating space, creating safety, understanding, and unity. And when there is breakdown in communication, that covenant can no longer survive. It will definitely suffocate. There are spiritual dangers because where communication dies, misunderstanding will definitely multiply. Assumptions will replace truth, distance will replace intimacy. The enemy does not need to destroy the marriage overnight. He will only need to silence meaningful communication because silence creates separation. So if you are no longer connecting, if communication is no longer bringing you together, then you are heading towards separation in that marriage. Many couples no longer communicate effectively in their marriages. They are no longer speaking. One of them could just shut down because he or she felt unheard. So who say, why should I talk? He won't understand me anyway. So you bottle it in, you keep it to yourself. That is creating a space, a gap between you and your significant other. When you keep talking, and you feel that the next person next to you cannot understand you, cannot help you out, then you shut down. Separation, you are grooming separation in that marriage. You are drifting outside the covenant of God. Let me ask, how can you be in the same house, under the same roof, going to the same church, worshiping the same God, but yet you don't talk to each other? Isn't that absurd? It is odd. It is ridiculous. What God are you serving when you cannot communicate with yourself? What kind of God are you serving together if the love of God is not reflective in your home? You cannot close the gap. You cannot bridge the gap. You cannot communicate effectively. Many people speak derogatory words to their spouses. Then you are not building them. You already reduced them to nothing. You already demoralized them with the way you speak. Have you forgotten that your word is meant to build your significant other? Then you no longer communicate meaningfully. You have nothing to discuss, not even your fear. You can't pass a correct message. All of these are signs that marriage has drifted apart, that this marriage is heading towards collision, and that it's gonna end very soon. It's no longer effective. God is no longer in the middle because you already have blocked ears and the heart is shutting down gradually in that marriage. We have so many other spouses too that have no word that will edify. What about those curses? You lay curses on your wife, you lay curses on your husband, even on the children. Those words are not edifying. That is not the kind of communication that the Bible is asking you to communicate in your marriage. The Bible did say that the power of life and death, we have it right here on our tongue. So if you want to talk next time, make sure it is building, it is bringing life into your marriage. Make sure that you are not raising down your home with the words that is coming out of your mouth. Nevertheless, if you are already experiencing communication shutdown in your marriage, there is still hope. Communication can be restored. It starts with intentional effort. You chose to talk, and then you chose to listen. You chose to understand. It's an intentional act. You can plan your words carefully and then you speak. And I think couples are meant to speak freely, respectfully, and words that edifies to themselves. You remove fear from in between two of you, then you will be able to communicate effortlessly. Soft words can reopen closed heart. When communication is restored, intimacy begins to breathe again. I mentioned before that when there is no communication in a marriage, then the intimacy will no longer be able to breathe. It suffocates. So if you are watching these, please, I beseech you with the mercies of God that you should not let silence replace connection in your marriage. Talk, listen, and then please share your heart, share your fears, communicate together, and most importantly, try to understand, because covenant thrives where communication leads. Protect your communication and you protect your marriage. Thank you so much for listening to me today. My name is Helen, the convener of Marriage on the Rock and Singles with Purpose. May the light of God shine upon your way. May the light of God shine upon your family. May your marriage come to life again. May love begin to breathe again in your home. Amen. Bye-bye.